What is up, metalheads and non-metalheads alike? I am Everblack, the underground metalhead, here with you on YouTube, the underground extreme metalhead specifically, sorry. I'm going to get into bands I've discovered. So if you're not familiar with this series, I talk about 4 bands that I've discovered, 3 of them that I enjoy, 1 of them that I do not. And the reason I do that is because just because I don't like them doesn't mean that you won't like them. So I figured I'd talk about them anyways, even though I don't really care for them. And that's not to say they aren't good musicians or anything, they're just not my personal taste, and that's fine. So we're going to get right into it with a solo project, actually, from a band called Gekas. And if I mispronounce anything, for future reference, I apologize. I do my best. But Gekas, he performs depressive suicidal black metal, which is actually one of my favorite subgenres of black metal. He is from Germany. He has been active since 2019, so pretty recent. He has connections with artists such as Dunkler Wald, Cthuliminati, and Didruzel. And he has 9 albums: Ewig Mork, Deus Morter, Satan Lives, God is Dead, When Depression Hits, Blasphemy, Inri, Journey Through the Abyss, Existence Expired, and a compilation album, which is the 9th, is called The Best of So Far. And he has a single called Medication, and a 3-way split he has done with Dunkler Wald and Cthuliminati called Lurking Void of Depression. So we're going to get right into the first album, Ewig Mork. Basically pretty standard depressive suicidal black metal. Nothing crazy here, but it just really solidifies what he's trying to do with his music and subgenre and style, kind of a thing. If you like DSBM, just go straight into this. You'll probably enjoy this album. It is a really strong album in my opinion. I do personally would say the song Lost in Agony that you should check out if you want to check this album out. Deus Morter is the second album. It's kind of like a follow-up of Ewig Mork. It's like a part 2 almost. The track, but it does have its own feel. It's a strong album, and you could tell it's a follow-up, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. If you want to check out a song off this album, I would say Funus Deus is a very strong song. Check it out. The third album on the list is Satan Lives, God is Dead. This is where we get a lot more interesting with the sound. I think there's more experimental stuff here. Definitely something you need to check out if you do like black metal, I think. There's a ton of good tracks here. It was really hard for me to pick one. But if I had to, I would probably say Anger was my favorite track on the album. So give Anger a check out. Fourth album is actually a split with the band Didruzel. Well, actually, sorry, it's the split with the Dunkler Wald, not Didruzel. My bad. I do apologize. Dunkler Wald, When Depression Hits, he combines kind of what he's done with the last 3 albums all into this one album, and it really melds together very well. If I had to pick a song off this album, I would say Fading Life is my favorite song off the album. Check it out. The 5th album, Blasphemy. Blasphemy, there's a few parts in this album which I feel like are a little bit thrashy, so thrash influence here, but it's not overpowering. Maybe if you like thrash, you might like some of this stuff. I think this is overall where he starts kind of solidify his overall sound, and technically it's a really solid album, so I would definitely check this out. Specifically the track Blasphemy, go figure. It's a really good song. 6th track now, 6th album, Inri, 6th album, an album more interesting than Blasphemy in my opinion. Utilizes more space within the tracks, is kind of going back a little more experimental, but I wouldn't really call it experimental. Like, this is something that bands have already done with sound before, but he plays around with it a little more here. If you want to check this out, I would suggest checking out the song Goodbye. My personal favorite off the album, and tell me what you think. Seventh album, man, there's a lot of albums with this guy. I normally don't do bands that have this many albums, but this guy puts out a lot of music. 7th album, Journey Through the Abyss. Short and sweet, straight to the point, with tracks like Stomp to Death and Salvation. There's more death metal influence, maybe some grindcore with the short and sweet stuff, but who knows, maybe you can tell me. If you want to check this out, I would say Stomp to Death is my favorite song off the album. With the album that's only 4 tracks long, kind of hard to pick just one, but check this one out. 8th album, Existence Expired. Again, another solid black metal album, and you can hear other metal influences in this one. This is probably the album I would jam to the most personally if it were me, but you can tell me which album you would jam to out of these at the end of the video or in the comments. If I would pick one song, I would say Black Magic is my favorite off this album, so give it a check out. and the ninth album, the best of so far. I already stated it's kind of like a compilation album. Sorry, I can't get my words straight. But this really just shows all the tracks that they've done before. So I've already showed you my favorites. If you want to check out what they think their best of is, go ahead and check out the best of so far of Tom Gekas. And we're going to talk about the single, Medication. Beautiful trip of a song, like really beautiful, very subtle, beautiful black metal. I would definitely say check this out. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Lurking Voided Depression, which is a split between Cops of Inui and Didrizel. The song that Tom has to offer on this split is pretty brooding. I think the last track is Life is Beautiful. I think that's what it's called. It really tops it all off. It's a really good split. I would definitely suggest checking it out. And honestly, I'm really excited for what this guy has to offer in the future. He's already got a vast amount of music out, and it's all really solid. So, Tom Gekas, check it out. Okay, and the next band we're going to talk about is a band called Azathoth. They're from Fresno, California. As far as I can find, they were formed in 2005. I don't know if they're currently still around or not. They are a symphonic black death metal band, and they have lyrical themes such as Lovecraft mythos. If you are familiar with Lovecraft at all, Azathoth should be a pretty clear giveaway to that. They have member connections with Ashmedai, Dead Elizabeth, Once We Were, Asphyxia, and As Goliath. And they have an EP called Azathoth and a demo called Demo. I had a hard time finding the demo for the band. There's another band by the same name that is a death metal band that has some demos from before this band, but I couldn't find this specific band's demo. So if you could find it and maybe send me a message about it or something so I can check it out, that would be awesome. But we're going to talk about the EP Azathoth. First off, I play piano, so piano always gets me in music. The intro track to this EP is gorgeous piano. I'm not going to show it here, but I really suggest you go and listen because dang. That being said, I'm not entirely sure it fits in with the rest of this, which is sort of a neoclassical meets black metal. That being, the combination is very interesting to listen to, and I just feel, I don't know, the gorgeous music throughout this whole EP, honestly, though. Whether it all works together or not, I'll leave it up to you. It also starts with piano and ends with piano, which is an interesting thing to do. I just love this EP, and I could listen to it several times. You'll have to tell me. My favorite song on it is Al Hazard. So check it out. Alright, and Azathoth was short and sweet, so we're going to talk about Cthuliminati. Another Lovecraft band. Who would have thought? These guys are from the Netherlands, though. Formed in 2015. They're still ongoing as far as I can find. Genre is progressive black and stoner doom metal, so interesting. They have member connections with bands like Cthuliminati, Extreme Cold Winter, Voodoo Gods, Nader Sedek, Centurion, Nox, Infected Flesh, Sever Torture, Blood Soaked, Deicide, Titan, Marquis, and Infestus. And they have one album, Reliquiduous. Only album I could find for the band. It's amazing, creepy, trippy, heavy, whatever you can put on there. Everything I wanted out of this, honestly. The vocals are strong and incredibly diverse. The musicianship is insane. I think you really need to check these guys out. I'm not kidding. I don't care what your excuse might be. Please go and support these guys. Honestly, these guys are really good. I really think whatever style of metal you enjoy, you'll really enjoy these dudes. There's something here for everyone, really. If you want to check out just one song specifically, I would say check out El Lizard Birth. Then we're going to talk about one last band, maybe. I might have a bonus for you. One last band. This band is called Scrotonic Discharge, formerly known as Scroto. Just be forewarned, these are the guys I put on my didn't really care for list. They're from the UK. They're formed in 2007 to the present. They are a black and death metal band, and their themes are anti-Christianity, so really unique. But they have one album. It's called Of Betrayal and a Bastard. It has 7 tracks on it. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I listened to this album over again, and I'm not really sure I would have actually put this on the didn't really care for list. I think on second listening, I actually did like these guys. So sometimes this happens just because first time I listen to it, maybe I'm just not in the mood for their music or whatever. But on second listening, I would say I actually did like these guys, so this is probably the first time in this series, but not the last time, where I'm going to move a band to dislike to like for me. The only thing I really didn't care for in their music is the guitar tone. I'm not sure it works really well with the rest of the music, but everything else is gorgeous on the album. The other thing is maybe I don't care for the non-metal stuff in here, but even I don't think it's bad. Maybe needs some polishing. Revelations, for instance, really isn't my jam, and I'd probably skip it personally. But I would say, if anything, check out Welcome the Devil. If you're interested in hearing anything this band has to offer, it's a solid track. Hey, I gotcha. We are going to talk about a bonus track. And just so you know, I only do bonus tracks when someone asks me to do some, so it's kind of like a favorite thing I do. This comes from somebody I know in my family. Not going to name any names because I don't need to talk about them or anything. But this is a band that he said one of his friends is in. It's a band called Illicit Thoughts. They're actually from Utah, which is where I live. They were formed in 2016. They are currently ongoing, and they are a metalcore band. I'm going to put this out there first. Just because you asked me to review a band doesn't mean I'm going to give them favorable review. But that being said, I never say that someone's a bad band, okay? Because I don't believe that any band is necessarily bad. I just think it's something that I may not want to listen to, and that's okay. But up front, I'm going to say I'm not a huge fan of metalcore. Just staying out there. There's a couple bands, mostly that I listened to in high school, like Unearth, for instance, that I still listen to that I like. But for the most part, not a huge fan of metalcore. Now, that being said, I can say these guys have a lot of potential. But they have a lot of growing to do. There's plenty of stuff here that's pretty rough, and nothing I heard really blew me away. I did particularly find the track Insidious to have some interesting portions, and the track Architect's House has some strong vocal portions. Like I said, these guys have a lot of potential, but they got a lot of work to do. I'm not saying you guys are bad. You guys are clearly very talented musicians, and I would say just keep working. I mean, you'll get there eventually. Part of it is just because you just need to polish some things, and that's fine. Just so you know, the album is Illicit Thoughts as well. It's the same as the band's name, so check them out. I'm gonna check them out. Illicit Thoughts. Alright, and that is a bands I've discovered for, it is May, January, February, right? May? Yeah, June. May's over. But currently the world is kind of crazy right now, so stay safe, guys, okay? Don't get sick, and stay heavy.